Welcome back to Bros in a Landfill, the podcast equivalent of slapping the bottom of a glass ketchup bottle in the vain hope something good will come out.
Your hosts for this week are Magical Quip Giver Tar.
Hey, that's me.
And the guy who thinks he can criticize My Hero Academia for silly things such as the traitor thing by only watching 2 minute clips on YouTube. I'm Dizzy.
You're still holding a grudge about that, huh?
I have many responses to that. The first one is that ketchup is never good. Fight me.
Bitch.
Ketchup is amazing.
Bitch.
Fuck you.
Secondly, I don't think you understand when I said that I watched many clips, because I have watched many clips, including clips that covered the fact that the villains were using hero killer's motivation, but apparently not enough clips to explain why they were, what their motivation is to just to make them look bad because they want to, and why a bunch of heroes claim moral high ground anyways, despite the fact they were apparently only using hero killer's motivation or philosophy and stuff, while not actually believing it themselves. And also, why would a guy raise someone just to hate All Might? Is he just that much of a
I'm not saying that. I'm not. I never said last week that My Hero Academia didn't have its flaws. I was just bringing up specific criticisms to your criticism.
Yeah, and I'm countering them with, you still haven't addressed those.
To be fair, the reason why I didn't address those specifically was because you weren't on. For you to counter them, and also there was a quick thing we wanted to talk about Scooby-Doo. Oh, by the way, my name's Trybien. I'm the founder of this podcast, this nightmare that you've been listening to for the past couple of minutes, maybe the past year if you've been following us since the start. I feel so bad for you. I'm sorry.
No, we appreciate your support.
It's hard to talk about the motivations of the villains in Hero Academia. Same reason it's kind of difficult about the motivations of the heroes in Hero Academia, because they all fall within this weird gradient of each character sort of has their own motivations. Some of them are very much hero killers saying like, oh yes, I'm moral high ground, but a lot of them are also idiots and being used. The second groups are the ones that just want to cause chaos, but they're using the hero killers thing as a justification for the chaos. They don't really care about it. Then you all have the whole group of people that are like, oh yes, we're bad guys, we're evil, and but we're gonna use the hero killer to make the heroes look bad and turn the society's trust against the heroes.
Waiting
so it's
for
easier
lunch
for us
to
to
be on to
cause
have
chaos.
this discussion.
How do you turn society's trust against you when you're murdering children and blowing up cities? Granted, the heroes also blow up cities. To be fair, but it's one of those things where it's more there's like, oh, you can't trust the heroes. Specifically, you can't trust the specific academy that all the best heroes come from. And it's like, oh yes, if you can't trust the heroes, then who can you trust? The villains aren't trying to win favors over to the public. They just want the reputation of the heroes to be demolished.
Sounds ridiculously petty.
It is ridiculously petty, but one of the leader of the main bad guy group's like, oh yes, I was All Might's the reason why my mother died, so I'm just gonna make his life a living hell.
I could write a better villain plot than that, and I'm a hack fraud.
You are a hack fraud, but that's beside the point.
Weren't you gonna talk about some stupid anime?
This sounds like a
bunch
of bullshit.
Anyways, the only other thing I wanted to Hero Academia, like a lot of modern shonen and law shonen in general, is a bunch of bullshit. You're bringing up these criticisms. I'm like, but anyways, the other thing I want to just point out was you were getting all weird about this whole traitor thing when it's established. Also, that's another thing that's established as
okay. I'll say this. I know nothing about traitor stuff. I've only been told that apparently there was one.
Well, the point of the traitor thing is that training camp that they went to was supposed to be top secret, only known by people at the academy, but the villains still found where it was and whatnot. And in story, they're like, there might be, it's like there must be a traitor among us, within the academy, who leaked the information of where the training camp was, because it's supposed to be top secret.
Weren't the villains just spying on the heroes all the time, though?
That's possible too. I'm not defending the show. I'm just saying that
Plus, before they went to the training camp, they got kicked into the forest where they had to fight a bunch of giant explodey earth monster thingies. I think anyone could have found them.
The giant earth monsters, I'm pretty sure, was part of the training.
It's not that hard to find someone when they're blowing up a forest.
This is fishing for things like this is fishing for like explanations for a show I don't care that much about. Like,
okay,
like
I'll
the only and you care enough to start 2 episodes off with it.
This is just the new arc of Frozen a Landfill.
No. What I care about is the fact.
Arc. Okay.
No, like my thing here is like, oh, Disney's coming in with these these very specific criticisms for the show, for a show that he's severely missing context from, because he's taking the bitch ass excuse of, oh yes, I'm gonna pirate my anime, but I'm not gonna go all the way and go onto some pirate anime. It's like, I'm gonna watch some shady ass YouTube uploads of 2-minute clips that give me just enough context to hate the show.
I've seen.
I mean.
We're talking about
seriously,
Disney. Anything is just enough context for him to hate something.
That's fair.
Yes,
but
baloney.
I'm not saying to pirate your anime. What I'm saying is, if you're pirating your anime, go all the way with it. Don't just these YouTube clips are there for like people to like share around and be like, oh yes, look at this cool anime moment or this funny anime moment from a YouTube scene. Like no one's putting those YouTube videos up thinking, oh yes, Disney, this random Californian babe is gonna
Why do you have to
hop in.
Give my state address? Let me do that.
There is many things wrong with the way you worded that.
But
and
anyways,
it makes me supremely uncomfortable, and I'm not entirely sure I want to be on anymore.
I mean, I've seen basically the entire tournament series and through 2-minute clips to give you context for exactly how many clips I've seen and how specific they are.
But that tournament arc is like over 3 hours worth of content. That means you've watched 3 hours worth of 2-minute videos.
It means I've watched 2 hours worth.
So like you've missed. That means you've probably missed at least an hour's worth of content. Like
I've missed the part where that explains why this one guy keeps popping up throughout different points of the series to talk about how he hates the class that Midoriya is in for some reason, only to get smacked by another girl who I don't know who she is. And this guy just keeps showing up, and he is another reason that confuses me, because I keep wondering, why are you here?
Well, it's hard to have a discussion with you about Hero Academia because we've only watched 2-minute clips. Like you haven't watched like a whole segment of the show. You're like, there's a lot of context you're missing. And that's kind of why I want to have this discussion with Lunch on, because Lunch can be like, oh yes, or like, oh blah blah blah. Or like bring up points or parts of the show that I might not remember, because
I feel like even if I did watch the show, I would basically know exactly the same thing that I do now, which is why I'm compelled to not. I mean, I can do it, and then I can come back next week and say, okay, I binged the entire show. And
I don't think you'd enjoy it. I don't think you'd enjoy it anymore watching the full show. It's insufferable trying to debate with someone who is bringing up these problems with the show without watching the full thing.
And join us next week when we start with this topic again.
Anyways, Tar, take over, but I have to go grab my charger.
Wait, what?
That, but I don't think it made it apparent exactly. Look, okay, I'll grant you that. I've been in arguments before about single issues of comic books, and I looked into those comic books and found out that I was missing a shit ton of context. But when I talk about My Hero Academia,
left.
I know I'm giving this context to you.
What? Why? This discussion doesn't matter to me.
I know. I'm just explaining my point.
But don't explain it to me, because it doesn't matter.
Don't know. Ay.
Okay, I'm back. What did I miss?
Okay, Try's back. All right, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Try, give an opening quip. I was asking Try to do an opening quip again, because I was going to cut all that out.
Welcome back to Bros in a Landfill, the only show that we do opening quips in the middle of the show.
I was also going to ask if I could just leave mid-cast.
Yeah.
Or post pre-beginning of cast.
I mean, if you wanna head out, that's fine. I can talk with Tar about Promare, because I think he'd think it's cool.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna head out then.
Oh.
Yeah, you sound like shit. You sound like shit, man. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Oh, should I do the quip again?
No, we'll keep the beginning stuff. Okay. So on to the Try watched an anime movie and now Target.
Oh boy, where have we seen this episode before?
And then, like, did you know that before last week, the last Try and Tar episode was Pokemon Power? we hadn't done a do episode since Pokemon Power, and it's like, wow, some of the best, some great memes come from that episode. It's like somehow it's not depressing when you and I are on together. we actually have good chemistry. What is this?
Sometimes.
Nah. Anyways, so Promare.
This sounds like some My Little Pony
it's not
spinoff.
I knew you were gonna say that. No, it is not ponies. It might have mare in the title, but it has nothing to do with ponies. But not everything has to do with My Little Ponies. Tar, not everything I like is ponies. God damn it. Please.
Just most things.
Just most things, not all things. God damn it. Anyways, so My Little Pony. Promare. My Little Promare.
This has gone off to a fantastic start.
Yeah. So Promare is the new movie by Studio Trigger. Famous for TV show, anime such as Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, Darling in the Franxx. If you think that's good, don't at me. But
I've heard of a couple of these.
But specifically, the director-writer combo is the team behind Gurren Lagann.
I've heard of that,
which is usually quoted as being like one of the best anime of all time, being super like manly space robots and stuff, but also like being really freaking cool. Lots of cool poses, lots of cool sayings, very thematically heavy, amazing music, and just stylish as all hell.
Okay.
And it's one of those. It's one of the cool things with Gurren Lagann is it's one of those shows that just keeps escalating. You start off like underground. And as the series goes on, you're like the key catchphrase saying of Gurren Lagann is we're going to pierce the heavens. So yes. You start off in this underground. You start off in this underground colony. You go up. You fight these like beast people, and then then the show escalates all the way up to giant space battles.
Yes. Okay.
So you've literally gone from drilling from inside the earth all the way up into the heavens into space.
Yes.
So
I'm with you so far.
You got these are the type of shows that are gonna have like big stakes, big escalation, really cool stylish scenes, really emotionally charged, and then you come into Promare knowing all this, given the fact that it's like a 2-hour movie, you know it's not going to be the most character driven story, but setting expectations. You know it's not going to be. You know the story isn't going to be this great grand thing. It's not going to be like Gurren Lagann that got 24 episodes, which is, I think, approximately at least 6 hours worth of content. So you're getting like 1/3 of the content. Anyways, so you go in.
Yes.
The plot, the conceit is you have a bunch of people they just start spontaneously combusting.
Oh, fun!
And gaining the power to control fires, which sounds a lot like Fire Force. And yes, there's this
I've never heard of
suspicion that. Okay, Fire Force is a anime that I'll be talking about, but it also involves with people spontaneously combusting and people with power to control fires.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the two Fire Force is an action shonen. This is more of a mecha, like a sci-fi mecha sort of show.
Okay.
So drastically different genres, drastically different writing styles, like drastically different experiences, even like the mechanics of the fires. Like Fire Force is all about like fire manipulation and different ways people use fire for coming from their bodies and whatnot. Promare is literally about people, like the people who control fire, then harden it into weapons and armor.
Oh, that doesn't sound like science.
This is Triggers. What is science? It is their own made up version of science. There is like a whole like 5-minute like exposition dump near the end of the show by with a like this is the type of movie that's very self-aware in the sense that near like at the beginning of like the third act, like there is a Deus Ex Machina with a 5-minute explanation of how all the science in the show works, and just expects you to be like, okay, yeah, like this is how it works, because that is not the point of the show. Like Promare is a 2-hour kick-ass music video. It is. Like it looks amazing. Like it took a bit to get used to the visuals because it's so bright and colorful, and it does like this like 2D 3D sort of aesthetic that gives it like this like almost like dynamic like view. Like it's fucking nuts. Like the show opens like on like a 10-15 minute like fight scene, like this big over the top extreme like fight scene with with a mech and with like these fire terrorists.
That sounds like a lot to introduce with.
Yeah, because it gives no fucks. It wants to be fun. Like as I said earlier, the last thing you're going to get from this is a real character drama.
Right.
There is practically no time for any real character to like any and all of the character development is more just kind of there subtly. It's like nothing is explicitly told. You can see like the main character going through a bit of an arc, but it's very cookie cutter of and I don't really want to go into spoilers, but it's like, oh, we got like you have the people who can control the fires, they're ostracized from community. You've got this sort of what's the right way to say this?
Oh boy.
It's sort of funny because you have like it's got this like
use your words.
I guess parallel from real world right now. It's sort of like you have like.
No. I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, Tar never likes where. See, this is why I can't explain my words because like I've got a billion thoughts running through my mind and it makes it impossible to put them into things. Anyways, it's like they're treated as like the others are treated as dangerous. They're treated as criminals. Okay. So even if they're not causing trouble, they're rounded up by the government and they're rounded up by the government even if they're not causing trouble, and then forced into like prisons and stuff, and then like experimented on and whatnot.
Okay.
So it's one of those there's a bit of an authoritarian treatment of these others who are treated as like dangerous.
Go ahead and turn off my camera because this is there we go.
Okay. So well, I'm turning off my camera then. Fuck you.
Oh, well then. Your camera's working fine. Mine isn't.
Yeah, well, you got to keep things fair.
Okay, well, all right then.
Anyways, so you've got this whole like dynamic of you have these fire terrorists trying to fight for like the freedom of the other like five people who can't fight for themselves.
Of course.
And then you got the government who's like, no, you guys are dangerous. It's dangerous for this just by you guys existing, it's dangerous. So we're gonna lock you up.
Yes.
And then, sort of like in the middle, you have the main character Gallo, who's he works part of like this rescue team, these group of rescue heroes, you might say, and like they go out and their job is to save people from attacks or like in fires and whatnot. They're not supposed to engage with the terrorists, but they're there to help. But Gallo is your typical hot-blooded Kamina figure from like who's a
shonen protagonist.
Yeah, he's hot-blooded and he just wants to save people. And it makes sense as his backstory. His backstory is all like he was saved when he was young, he wants to save people.
He's Mr. Incredible.
Perfectly acceptable. And you know what? He saves people.
Yes.
And he gets in a kick-ass fight scene with like the leader of the terrorists at the beginning of the show.
That seems like a very odd place to begin.
Oh, this is a trigger show. Things aren't as they seem.
Okay.
Like there's I mean, I could say some things because one of the PV's spoiler is a spoiler of spoil a pretty big twist later in the movie. And I'd also argue that the plot itself isn't that important. Like this is something I think you could go on without spoilers, just because of how much of a spectacle it is and how cookie cutter it is. Like, you just by watching it, you can figure out who the big bad's going to be before it's over. But something that I appreciate,
usually pretty telegraphed in all media, isn't it?
Yeah. Something that I appreciate with Studio Trigger's works, though, they've done this with Gurren Lagann and some of their other stuff. But the bad, it's a lot more nuanced than just bad guy bad. Like the bad guy has good intentions. It's very clear that what he's doing is wrong, and that he's wrong and he's making a mistake. But he's the bad guy with noble intentions. Like,
right.
Like at the end of the day, like, you can't say that there wasn't good done by the bad guy if he won. But it's sort of one of those things where, like, ideologically, like, his thing will likely cause the most, like you could even make an argument that he is in the right. I could see people making arguments that he is in the right, and like, even though like he lost and things turned out like okay, that like any reasonable person should have been on his side. It's more of like
his methods are not good.
Not to jump into Ace Attorney 5.
Oh boy.
But it's one of those like end doesn't justify the means sort of thing, where this guy has done terrible things just to like protect humanity. Like the big bad's like I want to protect humanity, so I'm going to do terrible things to protect humanity. And then Gallo's in there, and he's like, comes in, he's just like, yeah, fuck you. Like, you're giving up, man. Like, you don't have to do bad things to protect humanity, and I'm going to prove it to you, sort of.
Right.
Shtick. But it is cookie cutter. It's not like super surprising, but
here's a fun drinking game. Take a shot every time Try says the term cookie cutter.
I'm saying cookie cutter because I've read that in the comments too many times, so now it's stuck in my head. Like going and listen to the soundtrack, I've just seen the word cookie cutter used way too many times in regards to the movie. People like saying, yeah, it's a cookie cutter movie, but it's great. Yeah. Speaking of which, oh my god, that soundtrack. Like, it's a
for those of you keeping track, I think we're up to 7 now.
Yes. So on to other things. Yeah, the soundtrack's done by Hiroyuki Sawano.
I have no idea who that is.
I'm not. It's weird because I could throw examples, but you don't watch anime, so I don't know if you've seen any of them. Like, he's done the Attack on Titan one. Did he do the Attack on Titan? I think he did the Attack on Titan soundtrack because some of the music in Attack on Titan. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Tar doesn't watch enough anime for me to really use a good one. Like, for example, I could say he did the soundtrack to Recreators, which is a show that I think is pretty bad, but I really like the music of.
I think I've heard some music from that, maybe.
Recreators has a great soundtrack. But like, if you could, like, here's the thing with Promare. If you can get into the music, like if you like the music, if you can get in the groove of the action scenes, and like it just being this big self-referential, big like Promare is just one big meme. It is like it's just a big old meme.
Well, you're mean.
It is a big, epic, amazing meme. Like, okay, Tar, you know me. Like, I like the type of thing I get into with anime and whatnot. Like, is characters and the story. Those are things I care about the most. Now, like, third down the line is obviously music. Like I could get behind like a show if like it's got good music,
right?
Like, and if it's got good animation, that's fine. But usually, like, so something like Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka is a show that I think has really good music, but dear God, the writing and characters are awful. Like, it's got some neat ideas, it's got some neat traumatic backstory stuff, but the writing in Asuka is.
I remember you brought that one up on cast. That's the one where the main character is a yandere, right?
The main character's best friend is a yandere, but close enough.
See, I pay attention to these things, kind of.
You do. But the music was good enough to bring me back, and the show was campy and fun. Like, it was stupid. It was absolutely stupid, but I had fun.
Okay.
But I wouldn't call Magical Girl Spec Ops Asuka a good show.
Right.
Come over to Promare. Not much like, it's got a bloated cast with a lot of just referential characters. that doesn't have a lot of development, and it is kind of milquetoast in that regards. I'd give Promare a 9 out of 10 just because of the spectacle. Spectacle is not usually enough to sell me on something, but oh my god, I had a smile on my face throughout the entire movie, and that doesn't happen. Even in stories with with movies that have good stories, that doesn't happen. I had the biggest, dumbest smile on my face the entire time. It was an absolute blast.
Right. Is it kind of like Pacific Rim?
I haven't watched Pacific Rim. I need to watch Pacific Rim. I am very bad at watching movies.
Damn it! One of the few movies I've watched and you couldn't watch it too. Okay, I see how it is.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I will watch Pacific Rim, and we can talk about Pacific Rim one of these days.
It's been so long since I've seen Pacific Rim. One of those most standout moments was, so I'm not gonna spoil anything major, but toward the end, there was a funny moment when a building is getting smashed up. But the smashing force stops just enough to get a set of Newton balls swinging.
Oh, that's funny.
It is.
Yeah. I definitely would like to do in the future sometime a bros movie night sort of thing, or bros anime
that might be a good thing.
It's we were live streaming ourselves watching something. Obviously not live streaming the show itself, but if we were in chat. Had people watching with us, and we were all discussing the movie while it was going. People could watch with us. That'd be fun.
It could be.
Yeah, but that's just a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching. Anyways, so Promare is if the lack of character and if the lack of character development and story is gonna be a knockoff on you, I'd say it's probably not the best watch, but at the same time I think it's just so much fun. My wife is the type of person who doesn't care for spectacle, for fight scenes, for characters and whatnot, but even she had fun with the movie. She wouldn't praise it like I am, obviously. She's not enough character development for me. But she still had a good time. And what did
I left I'm sorry, I'm back. Yeah, I clicked the wrong thing.
You did the same thing I did, anyways. So as I was saying, my wife's not the biggest fan of big action schlock. She prefers character driven stories and whatnot. She enjoyed it. She had fun with it. It wasn't her favorite movie.
Right.
I don't even know if she said I don't even know if she would say she liked it, but she had fun with it. There was a lot in there to have fun, and there was laughable moments. I saw her smiling and laughing. Not her thing, but she still it wasn't right. Oh yes, that was I hate this movie, or it was garbage. Promare knows what it wants to be, and it sets out to do it flawlessly. And it is absolutely a must watch.
Oh, a must watch, huh?
This is I think even see.
You were calling this thing shallow before the cast started.
Well, I don't think shallow is the right word. I was actually a really bad word because it's actually pretty deep in regards to the I meant when I said shallow, I was talking about more shallow in character development, because most of the characters are just shallow trigger memes. Oh yes, this is trigger character X, or this is trigger character Y.
Okay.
Most of the characters get little to no development. They're just there to exist.
To have one personality trait.
Yeah, exactly. The only characters that have any depth to them are the main cast. Your Gallo, the leader of the terrorists, Leo, Big Bad, Sex Appeal and Sex Appeal's sister.
Oh
and that's
boy!
About it.
You had me at Sex Appeal.
Yeah, you Trigger always has a sexy character. Interestingly enough, the show actually doesn't do that much in terms of Promare doesn't do that much in actually over sexualizing her. It doesn't I did sort of appreciate it. They had a stereotypically sexy Trigger character, but it wasn't oh yes, we're gonna keep the camera on her all the time, and we're gonna be having the main characters ogling her and whatnot.
Right.
It's there are sexy people in real life, but you don't need to be ogling them every 10 seconds they're on screen.
Yeah.
just because someone has big boobs, big butt, and big waist, big boobs, big butt, tiny waist, and they dress skimpily doesn't mean that you have to be like show it, like have their boobs highlighted on screen every 10 seconds.
Yes, it does. What are you talking about? I'm kidding.
It's like Promare is like one of those weird shows where it's like it's very shallow with most of its side characters, but it's also very subtle with its main casts.
Right.
Like there is development there, but it doesn't hit you over the face with it. There are clearly things being said, especially in regards to the character relationships. There are character relationship things that are there, but they're not expressly said, and they're not beaten over the head, but it's pretty clear what they're trying to say.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure thing. Yeah. Cool story.
But at the end of the day, none of that matters, because all that matters is the finale of the second act has a giant like fire dragon thing wreaking havoc on the city that Gallo goes in and has to like stop. And it's got like amazing music in the background, like Superfly with her beautiful voice, it's got so much that the music is just so good. Like the music in Promare is so good. Like it's weird because it's good in context of the movie. Like I can go back and I can listen to the music and be like, oh yeah, this is good music, but I'm not going to jam out to this. But when you're pairing it with the visuals, it's just like a mind-blowing experience.
Now the thing is everything like choreographed?
What do you mean choreographed?
Oh, I find it difficult to describe, but like, so you know how usually there's like big moments when the music is loud and then and vice versa and stuff like that.
Okay,
there's pointed stuff happening.
I don't know how to answer that because at the end of the at the end of the screening I went to, they had like a roundtable with the creators, like some of the animators and the director and whatnot. And they were talking about Hiroyuki Sawano's soundtrack, and like they were like talking about like how they were really impressed because that like somehow like they're talking about like somehow the music always perfect, like because the music was composed before it was animated.
Okay.
Like, so they were talking about like how somehow the music always perfectly hit the highlights of like they were like talking about like how shocked they were that like every time that like there was a big moment, like the music changed perfectly.
Okay, that works.
So I don't know if like Hiroyuki Sawano is just a god at creating music, like he's able to tell when these sorts of things. Like it
might be the other way around. Like the animators listened to the music and then they were just like,
subconsciously,
like, oh, it might be cool if when this happens in the music,
well,
the character
movie
did
would have
this.
The movie would have already been storyboarded at that point. I think it's a bit more like Hiroyuki's. It's weird trying to talk about a Sawano soundtrack because there are very clear, like, listen between like Recreator soundtrack and Promare's. There are like very clear like beats. I think what Sawano has kind of hit upon is there is a certain universal pacing to these sorts of scenes.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think he's able to craft music that can universally be put in most scenes, and with minor like editing and minor like changing, that can get to line up perfectly. Because like, I implore anybody go between the Recreator soundtrack and like the big musical, like the big vocal tracks and the big vocal tracks for Promare, and I think if it's the same thing with Attack on Titan. It's like there's always this big drop, like this big vocal like it's something that gets incredibly intense all of a sudden. And it's always at the perfect moment.
Right.
In every in every Hiroyuki Sawano soundtrack and every animation. Like I think he's able to give just enough time for things to build up so people that the creators are like the animators are able to sync it up perfectly. Because dear God, like it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like I've got my criticisms of Attack on Titan, but one thing it does great is the musical timing of the soundtrack. Like the music always like intensifies at the perfect time. Like with these big vocal like choruses. Same thing with Three Creators. Three Creators did the same exact thing. I didn't like Three Creators, but like the soundtrack was amazing. Promare does the same exact thing, and it's like the music just fit. It's like there's a reason why I think Hiroyuki Sawano is so sought after and so like admired in Japan. Like it's because I think he fundamentally understands how these sorts of soundtracks work, like these vocal tracks and stuff.
Okay.
But that I might be talking on my ass. Who knows? Go type in the comments. Try sucks. Sawano sucks. Go fuck yourself. I mean, I before this movie, like even like I've always kind of been like, oh yeah, Sawano is kind of like overrated. Like he writes good music, but he's like not like this expert and whatnot. Watching Promare, I'm just like, oh my god, this is like amazing. Like I totally get why he's like admired as much as he is.
Okay.
But
I don't have anything else to tack onto this.
Yeah, I know. I think most anybody can enjoy Promare. I think if Disney was in a good mood, he could enjoy Promare. If he was watching it in a bad mood, Disney would be like Disney would be overthinking everything. Though I do think Disney would at least appreciate the moral dilemma.
It's a turn your brain off movie.
Yeah, it's a turn your brain off movie, but they're like the moral dilemma and like the stakes like aren't are legitimately like interesting and fascinating and does pose an interesting question for debate. So I think Disney could get behind that. It's not an ineptly told story. Like the story is told rather well for what it is. It's just
you're trying to condense an entire anime down to 2 hours.
Yeah, I think if this was 12 episodes, well, I mean, if it was 12 episodes, it wouldn't look nearly as good as it does.
Well, so, certain segments of it would.
Yeah, but I do think that like this could work with like being having like a bit of an extension of it, like maybe having. I'd actually be really interested in seeing like a prequels like anime to this. Like, they could make a epilogue movie, like TV series, but I don't know what they're gonna like. It's not because of the way the movie ends. It'd be really difficult to not make it feel like tacked on or overwrite what happens in the movie. But I think a prequel could be cool, establishing like characters, motivations, and whatnot.
Okay, sure.
It's so hard to not talk about spoilers because there's just so much that happens in this movie.
That's fair.
Lunch would love it. Lunch would absolutely love this movie. Be like, hell yeah!
Your voice was too high pitched for a good mimicry there. So,
hell yeah! I don't know. My voice isn't like entirely. Hell yeah! Well, I was trying to do that thing where like Lunch does like that, like he goes into that like high pitch, more like rocker sort of. You know what I'm talking about, right? Vaguely. Like where he's like kind of like that radical dude sort of.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. I think Lunch would adore this movie so much. But I think most people could get a lot out of this movie and have a lot of fun with it.
Right.
Shame that it was only a limited screening, and like I doubt that it's going to be streaming anytime soon. You'll probably have to get it on Blu-ray, and anime Blu-rays are obnoxious.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So much for being a must-watch.
Yeah, it's frustrating because anime movies tend to be some of the better watching experiences, yet because they're never really streamed, like it might show up on Netflix someday, who knows? But because they're not streamed, you have to get the Blu-rays, and Blu-rays are friggin' expensive.
Ooh.
And like, I'm not going to go tell you to pirate it because, I mean, first off, you're going to get like malware and shit from this pirate site. Second, it's not going to be as good as quality as watching it like on a Blu-ray disc or streamed properly. But you know what? If you want to take those risks and have a worse experience, go for it. But just, I'm not condoning pirating. Never pirate if you like. If you can.
I can't believe Try is like telling us to do this.
Like, don't like. Really, I think the moral dilemma of pirating just comes down to, like, if there is literally no legal way for you to watch something, then you can make a moral argument to say, okay, well, I can watch it illegally, and then if it comes out legally, I can watch it again legally. But pirating's weird.
Yeah, let's jump off this train.
Yeah, let's jump it off. I'm not the one to be talking about that. Everybody's pirated once in their life. That's how the internet works. Even if you don't think you pirated, you've pirated.
And this
anyways,
has been Bros in the Landfill.
I guess this has been Promare in a Landfill. Big time movie night. Thanks Tar for
sitting through that basically, but that's what I did.
Yeah. Thanks Tar for entertaining my ramblings about a movie you didn't watch.
You're welcome.
Granted, I do think
welcome. Try.
I do think, considering the mood Disney's in, it was definitely better to have you on to talk about this because you asked me good questions to elaborate on.
I did?
Or
I just remember saying okay again and again.
No.
The past 50 minutes have just been a blur.
Yeah, no. It's that Ohio heat, man. You got it. It's the humidity. It's reaching you.
Oh shit!
It's frying your
brain.
I'm
not even in Ohio. Oh, fuck.
I know. The humidity is going through the internet connection and frying your brain.
Oh fuck! I shouldn't have worn headphones.
No, it's too late now.
My brain's. I wanted to relate this back to a ketchup bottle, but I can't. So this has been Bros in a Landfill.
Squirting off.
Oh, try.